So to change the rear hub in the 92 Corvette, first you got to remove the caliper, two 18mm bolts, then you got to remove the axle nut, which is a 36mm bolt, or nut rather. You can just take this whole thing off once you have those bolts out and set it up here. Once you have that stuff off, there are 3 T55 Torx bolts holding the bearing on. You can see them in there. It's good to have a swivel head to get these out. So I gotta put the camera down to do this. You gotta jack up both sides and put it in neutral so you can spin the wheel so that you can get to the bolts. So to get these out, I'd recommend the larger size 1/2-inch drive breaker bar. I just did it with this smaller one, and it was tough. That's the only size I had the T55 for. But I just used a pipe, put it on the end of here, and it worked. So don't use cheap extensions, otherwise you'll ruin them. Now just get a hammer and an old screwdriver, stick it in there, hammer it a little, and then you can pry the old hub out. And then this right here is just a little splined piece that they have to connect the bearing to the axle shaft, the drive axle. And this piece has your ABS on it. So then all you do is take a new bearing, pop it in, and put it back together. Careful with your grease seal. Definitely want to clean up everything in here before you put your new one back on. First thing's a grease seal. Put some grease around the edge and on the rubber, some in there, and then put it in just like this. And make sure it stays in place. Then you can put some grease on here, and maybe a little here, maybe some in there. And then you can fit this back on. Oh wait. You also got to put this washer right there. I don't know if this was only for that particular bearing, but it's there, so I'll just put it back on. So now that it's all greased, it can be put back on. Just make sure the grease fitting doesn't pop out while you're putting it back on. And then you can hit it with your rubber hammer. Then you can start putting all your bolts back in. This axle nut gets torqued to 164 foot-pounds. And once you do that, put a new cotter pin in. Don't forget your cap thing. You have to torque this with the wheel off the ground. That's what the manual calls for, or whatever. So put it back in gear and lower the other side, and then you can do that. These get torqued to 66 foot-pounds, and the caliper bolts get torqued to 70 foot-pounds. And that's about all you need to know. then all you gotta do is put your wheel back on. So that's it.